And you're tuning into the Black Fire Radio, and you're listening to Massive Wagwan. Andrew Robinson, your Jamaican brother there, reaching out to all the massive on the African continent, and you're tuning into the Black African Bliss Show with your host, none other than Jody, from Monday to Friday. Stay tuned. Andrew Robinson, love, respect, and justice for all. Big up, massive.
Dance ya side, dance ya side, just more. Dance ya side, dance ya side. Okay, catch it right up. Dance ya side, dance ya side, just more. Dance ya side, dance ya side. Okay, catch it right up.
Tejeno toka kwanza kawe siarifu Mbege inasundo sabundani ni kajini Toba inadojo na pori meja kichele Kuna kulet jom kanipata mbele Cheza na njuku juku
Yes, karibuni sana family one more time. This is the second edition. The second episode of the day. Apologies about that. Our lights did that thing, but we are back. Shout out to everyone live with us on Facebook, on YouTube, on Twitter, on TikTok. Karibuni sana wacheki kwa wingi. Shout out to Glow by May. Shout out to Silva. Shout out to Tasha. Shout out to Karibu sana. Shout out to Agri. Shout out to Diana, Tony. Kila mtu mwenye ako hapo. Tap the screen if this is your first time right here, and also follow the live creator and enjoy the show. We have amazing episodes right on the Black Fire Network radio station, and you can also catch us also live also on our radio app, which is nice and easy to find. Very simple on the Google Play Store if you are an Android user, but if you are an iPhone user, auna excuse. Stream live with us. That is on the website that is under the www.blackfirenetwork.com. And of course, before those itches, I don't want to play much of the music. We had done that on our first episode, and we are back. We're talking about Uganda, which has been loaned back. That is 39 artifacts that were stolen from their country, and which we've also seen that these were not just actually artifacts according to the Ugandans or according to most of the African countries. If you try follow up very well, these artifacts do hold very, like they said, they did describe it as exceptional, powerful, and exceptionally sensitive to most of the communities, and also do contain so many powers. But I don't want to go back to that again. Like I said, personally, according to my understanding and something I've mentioned before when Ghana was also doing the same thing, is that if African nations are trying to literally get back their artifacts, first you as a nation, do you understand, or you as a leader, do you know what you are requesting back for? And if not, we should actually understand, and so that when we introduce Afrocentric type of education, this is easy to explain and break down to generation what this really meant, and why we need to actually embrace that, and why we should fight more back for the artifacts that have been signed that they shall never return back to Africa. That is what is happening in Uganda. But moving on to the next conversation, this is coming from the WHO, and I want to discuss this on a slighter note, because personally, I'm not really, and I've never been really the hashtag, let's check on what is happening in Palestine. I have said it's not correct. It's not something that is supposed to be happening. Innocent children being killed, bombed, women, hospitals, and all that. Not something that we're supposed to be seeing. But something I did mention yesterday, and I see it aligning with what the World Health Organization is saying, is about when it comes to the war, the destruction, where there's less funding or aid being provided to these countries. I was given a very good example with yesterday when they were calling the Sudan war a forgotten war. I understand very well you control the media and why you label this as a forgotten war, but it's not forgotten because you are very well invested in what is happening, how many number of deaths and people are literally being affected over or in the country. But on this other end, this is coming, of course, from Gaza, and the WHO, or the World Health Organization, has declared that there is a catastrophic hunger level on the rise that is on Gaza. They're saying that the Gazans are now facing catastrophic hunger and famine-like conditions. And this is the head of the World Health Organization that was giving information that was on Wednesday. And he says, despite reports of increased delivery of food, there is currently no evidence of those who need it are receiving sufficient quantity and quality of food. And over 8,000 children under the age of 5 have under the age of 5 years old have been diagnosed and treated for acute malnutrition, including 1,600 children with severe acute malnutrition. And however, due to insecurity and lack of access, only 2 stabilization centers for severely malnourished patients can operate. And they have also warned an escalating health crisis in the West Bank, where he said attacks on healthcare and restrictions on movement of people are obstructing access of healthcare services. So what is happening in Gaza is the same thing happening in Sudan. Like I was saying yesterday, they won't allow food to get to these people's the people who really need it, because it's a genocide. It's you die. You can see them even attacking hospitals so that people cannot get medical assistance. So it is literally a war on.
Well,
And
they blew up all the hospitals in Gaza. There are no hospitals. Then they killed all the doctors. Exactly. There's a genocide. It's it's what Europeans do. They're dealing with psychopaths, and they get the fake terrorist puppet here. I'm glad he was disposed of. They tried to do a goddamn coup, a medical coup globally with this no good bastard here. Everybody's now hip to what was going on. Shout out to the Kenyan doctor who realized you can't trust the WHO. He's talking about how they sterilized the Kenyans. I've talked about that on purpose. Sterilized Kenyan women, with these VACCs, because thing is to get Africa without the Africans. So there's no good dirty puppet here. Oh, we must meet a pandemic treaty so we can have control of the world. And I'm going to have a talk probably Tuesday when we cook. And they talk to everybody in the studio. I'm not going to do certain things I expect you to do. If you ever do it, you're going to get fired immediately. You ever take any VACs like I fired, you're getting fired immediately because you're a danger to everybody around you. I'm explaining it to you, and I'm explaining to everybody because they're ramping up to start it again with their bird flu nonsense. I'm gonna explain it to you. They're starting again, but now they're gonna start. But now what they're doing is trying to kill all the livestock and vaccinate all the livestock family. It's
you
gonna,
had
it's
the
gonna
more that in Kenya, right?
Yeah, I said it's coming again globally. So this trying to get this stuff in you through your food supply. Okay? And then also in America, what they're doing is shutting down. They're killing chickens and all other kind of food supplies, saying it's bird flu. This is another. I'm not gonna say it on YouTube. Yes, another. You know what? Because that didn't work. There's no way you have pandemics back to back to back to back. That's not how it works. But I'll explain offline Tuesday so you don't get caught in the fear and propaganda of what's coming. Of this no good terrorist Negro bastard here. There's nothing but a puppet. Wicked ass puppet. And so they're gonna be called out. Go ahead, Joey.
As much as we can see, it's them giving us reports of what is happening in Gaza, in Sudan, in Congo. They're still the same people who are under the same organizations doing this, because if you are really a true organization, we should have seen you go against a couple of things, so many things, which include lives, but you are fully in support of the same thing that includes putting people's lives in danger. So you're giving information of how many people are literally having catastrophic hungers or the hunger crisis, being on the rise. It doesn't help. You are the same people under the same dictatorship and the same demands and commands by the people who rule you. So it is all nonsensical. But it is so sad, again, like you were saying, majority of African people are so much caught up in this, unless the WHO announces something, it's not really that serious, it's not really that serious. Unless Mzungu says something, this does not really, but it doesn't bother you. It doesn't hint you, it
That's
is
what
so
we're talking about. when we were talking about the colonizing of the mind, when I was Shamani said I took over the last bit of their show. You only had 10 minutes left. Um, explaining that you have a colonized mind. You have a as you and Camus were reading that document about the European yesterday on the King Frequency show. Most African minds are colonized, Joe, but they're mentally enslaved.
Sure.
Like an Eriton, she's mentally most. That's why they go around to fake religions. And I was showing to her how that all that stuff she said is fake. I showing her Bible saying when Moses says, Pharaoh, let my people go. There was never nobody in Kemet named Pharaoh. That was the woman's. So Shemai looked it up. Pharaoh was the woman's house, Joby.
Mm-hmm.
It meant house, the house of the woman, because you couldn't become king without the what? The consent of the woman.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
That's what it.
that. Yeah.
That's what it literally meant. So when your Bible tell you somebody named Moses talking to a Pharaoh, that's a lie. But since you don't know history, you're colonized in the head. So I was showing them how Pharaoh meant the woman's house. Didn't mean any king. But the white man, since he didn't know African language, it's like somebody not knowing Swahili, Joby, and giving the wrong translation in English. Say, hey, that's not what that means. They wouldn't know. They translated from Swahili to English. So that's what you get with all these goopy books. So till the African understands. Oh, go ahead, Joby.
Yeah, it is crazy, but yeah, like you were saying, Africans need to understand we've been caught up in lies, and apparently these are the lies that we've for so long and forever. Majority of generations have died waiting and hoping for them to save them. Because if we're giving an example with the World Health Organization, you know, when we saw,
and those are the ones that's been coming to unalive you, Joe. That's the fun. Those are the ones that have been coming to do the opposite of what you believe. That's how indoctrinating the mind of an African's been. The ones who've come to do the harm to you, you believe those are the ones that came to help you. That's how treacherous this is.
Well, I believe Africans need to start challenging their minds. That is what I believe this is all about. You need to start challenging your mind. Stop just being in that box of where you can't think outside the box. You just think about what the society feeds you, your parents, school, religion. Try sometimes at least challenge yourself. Do things extraordinary, you know, be called different, be called crazy. That is what I think majority of the people are so scared. You want to be a moral person, but actually the type of morals you're keeping up with, they're immoral.
Something talking about is immoral, yeah. How you been a moral person and you're giving your children things that you don't even know what the fuck is even in it?
Exactly. It is. You need to start challenging yourself. Start questioning some things. Like, if this is really good, why doesn't this and this add up? At least add 1 + 2 and see if it does add up to 3 and get the maths correct. You know, it is just that simple. And this is what the WHO is literally telling us, because the same people reporting this again, they're gonna be like, oh, we need to still. We know they're experiencing hunger, but we need to give them the VACCINEs. You know, so how am I supposed to get the VACCINE while I'm angry? Injection makes people weak. So are you helping me? You know, it is crazy. It's just simple.
It doesn't make any sense.
Shout out to Freedom Media in the house and to everyone who's tuning in on Facebook, on YouTube, and also on Twitter. But as we get to continue, I want to share this video of Steve Hree. And when you talk about coons in the
what's this moronic coon talking about?
This moronic coon over here is questioning about the development of the UAE. That is the Arabic country.
It's called United Arab Emirates.
And the surprising thing, and which has shocked most of the Africans out of this video, is the way he's questioning, like he doesn't understand all these resources are coming from Africa. You know,
Steve Harvey is a moron, Joby. But I mean, a little moron. But that's what they do. They'll take a moron and make a star out of them. People work. See, but you should, as an intelligent person, you should know that Steve Harvey, right? Look, he's an idiot. An idiot.
I think right now, what is shocking people is because you know he's a moron. Most of the people in Africa see him as a smart person.
No, I know. That's why I told you the education level The IQ level in Africa is off the chart, crazy.
And
You
this the
see Steve
person,
Harvey as an intelligent person. There's something wrong with you.
and this is the guy who was meant to go meet up with Ruto. Make that make sense. Let me share this.
That's why.
Shout out
That's
to
why
Guy.
he did meet it. That's why everybody knew it was a laughing joke. Why are you meeting this washed up moron? See, the rest of the world knows he's a moron, but the Africans think Steve Harvey's somebody important. That's what Steve Harvey is, washed up moron.
Mm-mm. Okay, let me share. Let me share my screen again.
Go ahead.
What happened? Just a minute. Okay, there we go.
I don't know how you did this in 50 years. You look at history.
Knows nothing about
Who
Africa. Knows nothing about Africa.
Because he said
It is
it
based
was
on
cool.
it's
You look
how
at
we
this in 50 years, I have no idea how you did it. Because he's an idiot. He doesn't know
But you can't
geopolitical stuff. I
question
don't
why.
know
You
how.
can't question why we have countries in Africa celebrating 60 years of independence, but they're not developed. But something that a country, people who came yesterday, they have developed this massively. I mean, it
Exactly.
is shocking to you. Oh my
that has done this in 50 years?
wow.
I'm waiting. Show them to me. This wasn't done by money.
Man said, who in history did this? Have you heard of Iraq,
Done
home
by
to the
money.
Sumerians, the Assyrians,
He's a
and the
moron.
Babylonians? Home to some of the world's first cities, agriculture, and writing? They only did it a few thousand years before Burj Khalifa, big man. What about the Persians next door? One of the greatest empires in the world. But sure, they
All
never
black.
hosted an F1 race. What about ancient
All
Syria, the ancient
African.
Egyptians, the ancient Ethiopians, the Songhai Empire, and Timbuktu?
All
But who cares
African.
about math, science, architecture, and astronomy? I can go on, only because you asked who else did this. But for Stevie
You
here,
can
it's
name
not
that,
about the money.
moron, but
It
that's
was
all
different.
African. The Persians were African. The Sumerians were African. Songhai, that's Mali, that's Mansa Musa's stupid ass telling, but that's African. Egypt is African. Everything you name, dude, is African. None of you other people. All African people built all that shit. All of it. All of it. Go ahead, Joby.
Money
Hi, John Mosquito.
doesn't produce visions. Visions produce money. You've had leadership over here that were visionaries, great visionaries,
Over there.
and their vision was more about the people than the money.
Yeah, mad people's vision. The same vision that sold out the Palestinians to befriend Israel and become
Oh
America's
shit!
favorite
What are you
Arabian
talking about?
pet. The same
What are you
vision
talking
that
about?
made them buy the most racist food in
Exactly.
the world.
Exactly. The guy's doing an easy mark against a moron. Steve Harvey's an idiot, so it's good to make a video contradicting an idiot. Steve Harvey is a literal idiot. An idiot. He's an embarrassing idiot. That white man that gave money to and let him just speak nonsense because he doesn't know anything. So it's easy to debunk that all these nations, that dude's right. The UAE and Saudi Arabia, as I taught you guys, these were all set up by the fucking British. They're not independent countries of their own volition. They were set up because all that was called the Ottoman Turk Empire. That was all part of Turkey 100 years ago. All of it was Turkey. All of it. And so the bankers, the cats with the small hats, wanted to break up the Turkish Empire. So they need that war. After World War II, they broke them up and created all these fake kingdoms. I'm the king of Abu Dhabi. I'm the king of Dubai. I'm the king of Saudi Arabia. These motherfuckers ain't no kings. They're kings created by the small hats. And that's why they do with the small hats. Tell them what the fuck to do. That's what this guy's saying without saying that. Go ahead, Joby. Joby.
This is Jumbo John Mosquito Karibu again.
Spanish chant, death to the Arabs. The same vision that funded and backed the RSF in Sudan to ethnically cleanse, loot, and kill people and send them back all the gold. The same vision that transformed Libya from one of the wealthiest countries in the world to a site of civil war, division, and human slavery. The same vision that bombed and impoverished the land of their ancestors in Yemen. The internal migrant worker abuses. You know, the brothers building this. They must have that real Iniesta vision, mashallah. It's amazing what a few hot towels, 5-star hotels, parties, and fancy cars can do to one's historical recollection and understanding of vision.
Exactly.
Come
made
back
him
to
shit.
reality, Habibi, yeah? This was Ahmed Ghunim, that was African 90.
He
I'll see you
called you
next time.
Habibi. It was African. He called you Habibi. He called you a slave, you fucking moron. This no good motherfucking fake ass Arab called you Habibi. That's a slave. But he does know those were African lands, as I taught you. That's Northeast Africa. Those are stolen lands. And motherfucker, you're going to be giving them back in the next 100 years. That's coming. Those stolen lands, all that shit up in Northern Africa and Northeast Africa, that's going back in African hands, whether you like it or fucking not. Because he called you Habibi, Steve Harvey, slave. Habib means slave.
I mean, isn't he what he is? I mean, isn't that what he is? Like,
He's a coon. He's a coon. I don't want to call him a slave. Goddamn. He's a coon.
He is a slave to the white man. Yeah. When you are a coon, when you accept to be done dirty, you are a slave. You know,
Well,
you
that's
agree to
true.
everything. Really being
Well, that's true. That's true. But like I said, he shouldn't be talking on no world events. They're giving him a platform, and that's what white people do. They get the most moronic. See, a lot of people get caught up like when the Kenyans say, "Oh, they got numbers. They got the numbers on YouTube and TikTok." Hey, understand these numbers are inflated to their people to spew propaganda. Okay, most people with big numbers are morons. Most of them, because they allow them to get these numbers so they can spew their propaganda and idiocy. That's why Steve Harvey was made a star. He's a literal moron. He's talking about, I don't understand in 50 years how they did it. He doesn't have any historical reference. He's an idiot. So, like the guy's telling him, he's an idiot. And calling him Habib at the end. Those were African lands. The reason why that development exists, because they were given that development by the city of London, where General Mosquito lives at. General Mosquito lives in London City, but not the city of London. We know who owns the city of London. It's called the Rothschilds. So they broke up the Turkish Empire, right? But I sent you, what's that, Joby?
Well, the next conversation, this is about where we have most of the African leaders, of course, are attending. That is the G7 summit.
Yeah, the Korean. Yeah, that's funny. Hold on. Oh, before you play it, Joby, pause that. Play the video I just sent you. This is pertaining to the WHO. I just sent you on WhatsApp. This is pertaining to the WHO. This is a Kenyan doctor finally understanding Kenyans. Stop calling these puppets excellency. Everybody's an excellency in Africa. This shit's absolutely crazy. Calling these morons his excellency. Only place in the world calling some moron an excellency. So he's telling the Kenyans we cannot believe what the WHO and accept anything they bring to us. Because when you're an adult, you actually research shit that people are bringing to you. You just don't say, okay, I'll just do it. I'll just take it. What? Let me research what's in this shit, what you bringing to me and my people. You insane? What are you talking about? You crazy? Not putting this shit in my damn children? What is wrong with you?
I brought you civilization. I brought you religion. I brought you education.
It might be religion. There ain't be no civilization, no education.
I brought you everything. How dare you talk shit?
How they gonna bring you education? All that shit came from you. Language, alphabet, mathematics, science came from Africa. How's a savage gonna come back and teach you? He's gonna teach you me what's savage. Now all your Civilization in Africa now, we're now what? Savage. We're not loving and caring, and there's nobody poor in the streets. You know, we got converters and slums. There were no slums in Africa. Because you were not savage people. You shared everything. You're wealthy. So why would rich people try to, the way the white people do, steal everything? You got a few rich on top, everybody struggling and shit. That's their psychopathy. You got the psychopathy of a savage. African people never had to keep things from each other. We had everything. Food.
Okay, so let me share my screen.
But I want you guys to listen to this gentleman. Finally tell the truth. As an adult, that's what you're supposed to do. You don't give your people shit other people bring to you without investigating it and researching it. What are you, a child?
We cannot afford to trust WHO anymore, Your Excellency. And I'll
That's
just
right.
mention a few
You should
things
never
that
do. You weren't supposed to do it in the beginning. It takes you niggas a long time to learn. You weren't supposed to be ever doing it. But now you become an adult and you research shit. And he's telling, and this Kenyan gentleman, doctor's telling the truth. Go ahead, Joby.
The vaccine that was used is a different type of a tetanus vaccine that is a fertility regulating vaccine, where they take tetanus and combine it with a hormone called human chorionic gonadotropin that supports pregnancy. And when you inject a woman with that vaccine, she produces antibodies against that hormone,
right,
and therefore is rendered sterile.
Be sterile. So that means you don't have any babies. That's depopulation. It kills off Kenyans and Africans. Kills off Kenyans and Africans. They knew they were doing this. This is not an accident. Make sure you understand this. But did anybody go to prison in the WHO for doing this to Kenyan women? Of course not.
Among young couples who you examine and they are normal.
Also, it causes cancer.
Or couples who are losing 3, 4, 5 pregnancies before they can carry any pregnancy to term. In 2014, 2015, WHO brought.
But Joby, pause that. But Joby said the African would say, "Oh, it's the WHO. Let me get it. Let me take it." That's how dangerous being a moron in Africa is. It's dangerous not knowing shit. Go ahead, Joby.
Why did we have a number of people caught up with this WorldCoin bullshit? Just giving your iris and you don't understand.
I know. That's dangerous.
Right, I figured out it's still continuing. So there's a guy who we're friends with here in the apartment, like a couple of guys. So we were just chilled outside, and they told me that they've been gaining money from the WorldCoin ever since they got their iris. I asked them, okay, so you receive this amount of money every month, but what is don't you question yourself, what are they doing with your iris? Like, did you ever question yourself, how are they benefiting back from you? I just questioned him that. He couldn't answer me.
I told you no, because he's ignorant. I told you no, because that's what they
you know,
what they do, Joby. They prey on the weak. They prey on the stupid. They prey on the dumb.
It's crazy, man. It makes a whole lot of sense when you talk about the WHO and everything.
In our country, there was a campaign to eradicate neonatal tetanus, babies who are born who eventually get tetanus. And the vaccine that was used is a different type of a tetanus vaccine that is a fertility regulating vaccine, where they take tetanus and combine it with a hormone called human chorionic gonadotropin that supports pregnancy. And when you inject a woman with that vaccine, she produces antibodies against that hormone and therefore is rendered sterile. So we are noticing an increase in the number of infertility cases among young couples who you examine and they are normal but cannot get children, or couples who are losing 3, 4, 5 pregnancies before they can carry any pregnancy to term. We were able to expose this.
And understand this, why this is allowed in Africa is because the Africans' minds were corrupted. They worship these white people. So when they bring them shit, not understanding who they are, they just accept it. And not understanding as an adult, you don't accept shit. The fuck are you, a child? Go ahead, Joby.
The article Publish read again says it all. We're gonna go and put our own narrative.
You read that too? You read that article a couple years ago.
Yeah, we're gonna make them think like everything white is good, everything black.
Right.
You know, it is
bad.
what so. You know, sometimes that's why I'm like, man, I'm always amazed. Man, you're gonna give the white man, you guys, you're gonna give the white man like, oh.
Nobody's always amazed how wicked these motherfuckers are.
Brilliantly wicked. It's
That's
not
right.
just wicked, it's brilliant wicked. Like you're not just able to kill, but you can take, you can manipulate, you can oh my, it is crazy, you know, such power. Imagine we also had it as African.
because the African mind doesn't work like that, Joe. Africans are kind and loving. Your first instinct is not to manipulate people. That's not your nature.
I'll knock you out before I become kind. We'll resonate about being kind to each other.
Because you know now, Joby. But your nature is still.
Without knowing, Keith, even without knowing, I'm not the type who's gonna do me wrong and I'm gonna, no, sorry later. Okay, it's on. The beef is on. It's on. What you talking about? You know, that is the weakness of African people. Always want to be, sorry even for something you've not done. I'm not sorry.
Exactly.
And if I did something, I did also on purpose. I didn't do it because I did it on purpose. To mean sorry. The type of it's very rare on most situations. I love when I'm wrong.
Joby, you're kind and loving like all Africans. Sorry.
But anyway, on to the next one. To everyone who's tuning in, Karibuni Sana once again. That is to those who are with us on Twitter, on Facebook, Karibuni Sana, and also on YouTube. This is about the climate. This is the G7, where we can see that climate protesters have also taken to the street. That is, as we see leaders heading to Italy to have these talks of what is going on. So let me play this video instead of reading the article.
A group of activists began their preparations for Saturday demonstrations against the G7 summit that is taking place in Bliss-Ghana in Italy. Among them is Nicholas Omuk, an activist from Uganda, who is very adamant about climate change.
Now, Joby, Joby, I want you to understand how this works. The propaganda is always sophisticated. So what they're doing is they're paying people to protest their own summit as if they're really protesting against their summit. And they want people, the world is mad. They want them to tackle climate change. These niggas are broke, Joe, but they don't got no money. Who's paying this motherfucker right here? He's a broke Ugandan.
You tell me this is not a brilliant, wicked, psychopathic mindset. I mean, you have an agenda, which is literally not a good agenda, but still, you being the one following this agenda, you're gonna pay for the same agenda for people to demonstrate about
against you. Yeah, because then look, we must look at the people out there demonstrating. They're upset about the climate change. We must do something about it. See, it was a real protest, Joby, going against them. The police out there busting them in the head and tear gassing their ass. But this is a fake protest. Exactly, they're working hand in hand. What does this Ugandan give a shit about climate change when it's goddamn belly empty? Go ahead.
Are people from the global south. we are the ones that face issues with climate change. We're the ones that face most of the crises, and most of these crises are caused by the G7 countries or the global north countries, but then they always run away from me. So I'm here to amplify our voices and to show that when we talk about climate change, when we talk about debt cancellation for climate justice, it's not an issue of only the G7, but it's also an issue of global south countries. And
You should
when we talk
understand,
about
the only
climate
one that's
change,
pushing this
this is
global
a
climate change
this
is the
is
G7 countries, Joby. No one else. It's the G7 countries that's pushing what he's talking about. That's how you know this is propaganda. That they're funding this retarded nigga to say that he's protesting against them. They're the ones who remember they had the whole climate change summit, Joby, in Nairobi. It's the G7
Yeah.
countries that's sponsoring the shit.
Puppets, like I said yesterday, Africa, the fall of our very own nations is our very own puppets because of the deals they sign, the papers they sign blindly, you know, and which is not even blindly because these people know they are told we're gonna give you this amount of money, this is what you're gonna do, and they say yes because you know if you
Of
say
course.
no, your butt is gonna be found somewhere in River Yala or Indian
All right.
Ocean.
You gonna end up like
Disappeared.
you're gonna end up like MAGA Foley. You're gonna have heart
You know,
problems. And you're gonna end up
you
then you're
know,
gonna find you dead.
and it is so sad to see that we really, it is so sad to see we're really dealing with this type of weak men in society. It's so sad. It's so sad being a woman. It's so sad seeing that we really have people calling themselves men when they ain't, and that is just the
But,
reality of
but
it.
you're dealing with a colonized mind. Remember when the European came back in the second time and colonized, all the strong men were murdered off, Joby. They didn't accept the religion. They didn't accept the rule. They were murdered. See, you gotta stand. You gotta go back to real African history. The strong men were murdered, Joby. The weak men were left to procreate and bring all these weaklings up. Strong men were murdered, Joby.
They now made it worse, even now including battles on these leaders, you know, because once you have a battle, you know, you get in battled every single time, and then it is in your country, you know, you don't even know what to say. This is why we have people like Nana Akufo-Addo who have no decision on making on is the LGBTQ allowed, you know, Kenya, they talk like this, but we see them accepting homosexuality type of nonsense going on in the industry. So it is crazy to see how they have managed to weaken not only the leaders but also use the leaders to weaken the society.
They were but they were already weak, Joby. So listen, you understand, the strong men in Africa who fought, who wouldn't go along with the religion, wouldn't go along with being colonized, were murdered, Joby. You know, Africa wasn't as weak as it is today. They had to fight. They killed millions of strong African men, Joby. Murder them. You think you don't come to me, Joby, tell me something about you being God and me being you gonna show me a picture of a white man, tell me he's God, and I'm a strong African man, and I'm gonna accept that shit? Knowing my own history? I'm not. So you're gonna have to murder me off. I'm not gonna accept that. I'm telling my kids these are made up lies.
It's
You're not gonna accept
to Karibu Sana, say hi, Joby. Hi to you too. Says we lost South Africa to the colonizer, and are they still friends with the Russians? I don't know if South Africa has any relationship with Russia, but I'd not be surprised.
You're talking about through BRICS. You're talking about through BRICS. BRICS was not done by Ramaphosa, guys, with Russia. That was done through Jacob Zuma. Remember, Jacob Zuma was kicked out of power. Ramaphosa just was given that relationship between Russia. That had nothing to do with him. So they're gonna if the Europeans have got complete control of power in South Africa, they're gonna turn back to America, and they're gonna put bases in there to become a real colony of the small hats. Remember, it's the Oppenheimers, small hats that run South Africa. The Oppenheimers run it, who are small hats, right? Cats with small hats. So they run it. It's not you got the South Africans telling you on TikTok. I already know who run it. The Oppenheimers who run that place. It's always been run. That's why they made deals with Israel back in the 80s to keep South Africa oppressed and under apartheid. It was only when the Africans fought that they got free in South Africa. So, but I don't think they give the country back yet. I don't think they announced the winner yet. Have they, Joby? Have they announced the winner?
Not yet.
Oh, so no, because I think they're scared. I think the country will erupt. See, these youth like Kenya and other places are on the verge of revolution, and so I don't think they're going to allow the DA to partner with whatever the name of the ANC. If they do, it's going to start be open war because the Africans in South Africa live in such poverty. See, the Africans in South Africa are their education system is so bad. They believe that they were better than other Africans living in them slums because of South Africa's developed. They live in these horrible slums. And they thought they were better than other Africans. Oh, you Africans are coming to South Africa. Stay in your own fucked up, undeveloped. Remember how the South Africans talk to other Africans? Stay in your own fucked up, underdeveloped country. Ain't you living in this shack?
Just because your country is developed doesn't make you developed. You are poor. Okay?
I know, but exactly,
okay.
Joe. But they don't. But they wanted to flex on other Africans and talk shit on other Africans.
Go flex in your toilet. Go feel comfortable in your fucked up. Go flex there. Don't come flex to other Africans and we're all in the same shit. You can't do that, and it's not allowed. We're not gonna accept it. South Africans, we're gonna call you out. You are doing whatever you're doing is stupid, it's childish, it's so backward, especially you being the ones with the white people mostly in your faces. I expected you to understand better. You need to do better. You ought to do better with your lives. That is what you need to do. But shout out to Ratty in the house. As we get to wind up, I've taken much time. Shout out to our electricity.
I know you did. You took too much time out. That was my fault. That was my fault with the electricity, guys.
It's okay. My fault too.
I didn't pay the bill on time. I need Joby to play this one video to express what Joby's saying before she leaves, if I can find it. What Joby's saying is the fire that needs to be said, and other Africans are saying what Joby's saying too. We find this video real quick. I gotta find it because it's funny. They're saying the same thing. They're saying the same thing Joby said. We're not gonna listen to you South Africans talk your shit no more. You're not gonna be allowed to talk your shit against Africans.
Yeah,
we're gonna put you in your place.
It's not allowed because it's crazy when you think this is your history. It's nothing to do with you, baby girl and baby boy. It's nothing to do with you alone. It's inclusive of every African person. So if you think I shouldn't meddle in your business, then you're actually the one who is meddling in my business, because you don't understand what your business right here is. Shout out to Mburu, karibu sana. Hope you're doing amazing. Ikan says that the DA is going to cut ties with Russia, and I also asked that they are going to have.
Yeah, they are. Exactly, they are going to cut ties. Exactly. If they're going to let them get in power, Econ. You're right. They're going to go back. They're going to go right back under the white supremacist monologue because they own the land. They're going to keep the land. The Africans are going to be more enslaved in South Africa, like Joby's saying. It's going to get really, really bad. So you're right. So hopefully that it hasn't been mentioned yet. As Joby said, they haven't made an announcement yet, so I don't know what they're going to do. But if they do, I haven't seen any announcement yet, so I can't say yay or nay. So, and Joby's right. Other Africans fought for South Africa, and they're not even taught none of this. See, that's what they're not taught any of this. The white man's not allowed them to teach none of this in none of their schools. They don't know any of this. So, it's crazy.
It's crazy. Yeah, it's crazy. But as we get to move closer to winding up, as you find the video, it's about Ghana, which was our conversation of the day, which has announced 3 weeks of interruption in power supply due to reduction in gas supply from Nigeria. And the West African country.
Is that the whole country, Joby? The whole country going to be out of power? Is that what you're telling me?
They're saying that the Ghana state-owned electricity company has announced a 3-week interruption in power supply due to a reduction in gas supply from Nigeria, and the West African country has for several years been experiencing power shortages, popularly known as dumsor, which means on and off in the Akan language. And power demand has steadily increased over the past 2 decades, partly due to rapid uh, urbanization and population growth. The gas reduction, which began on Wednesday, is attributed to maintenance works being conducted by a gas supplier in Nigeria, and the maintenance has caused a reduction in power generation capacity across Ghana, and this prompted the need for load shedding to manage electricity, more again deforestation and all that. This prompted the need for load shedding and manage electricity distribution efficient. The electricity company of Ghana was the one giving this information yesterday in the evening. So it is crazy to see this is happening actually, and there is nothing that is going to change anytime soon. Nothing, because we have, number one, private electricity suppliers, who it's the same thing that happened in Kenya. We saw Kenya actually also in the beginning of the year, they sold power to some private shareholders. And since then, we remember that time we did have a lot of electricity disappearing on and off, on and off, on and off. And we don't know how it's going to get over the years. We don't know what agreement these people have with the shareholders, so-called shareholders, and the governments or the states governments, what they have spoken. But they also say that it comes barely 2 months after President Nana Akufo-Addo curtailed the export of electricity to neighboring Togo, Burkina Faso, and Benin in response of local supply challenges. No problem where Africa we fail to work together, and just because we have someone who's demanding something out of the countries, and which is resources, and while you're suffering, your fellow person can help you, but you're not allowed to work together. This is just so crazy. This is just so crazy.
It is crazy. It's said about the Europeans on purpose to keep things messed up. But Joby, I sent you that video. Check out that before we leave. Once you play that video, the same thing you say. Play that video. And mocking the South Africa same way you did. Where we leave.
Insane. Shout out to Nana Akufo-Addo.
Yeah, that no good bastard.
Well, I wonder what hospitals. My question earlier was, what are hospitals supposed to do? Last year,
they better have them generate. People died. Exactly. They better have massive generators, Joby. I guess you gotta have a generator in Africa to be able in hospitals. It's crazy. That's what they gotta do. Have a massive generator.
Even the generators sometimes fail to work. I remember there's a time we had power blackout. We had blackout in Kenya, and the generators in our main airport did not even work. You're like, how did the generators work? That's crazy.
Yeah, because it becomes life and death then, Joby. People are gonna die. Life and death.
This is South Africa, Johannesburg, a very beautiful city. And this is also South Africa. The interesting thing is, it will be very difficult to see any white South African living here. 99.9% of those who live in places like this in South Africa are blacks. I don't really take South Africans attack serious. I know they'll definitely come here and insult me. You see, the people who live here think that their lives is better than the rest of us on the continent. But sorry, you see these structures, when you go to some African countries,
they're there.
Put their animals in it.
Exactly.
That is a fact. Of course, we also have slums in Ghana, but we also have this. Some South Africans don't even know that we have this outside the borders of South Africa. The fact is, you see all this building, this belongs to Ghanaians, this belongs to blacks. All the tall buildings you see in South Africa, all the beautiful, buildings you see, it is owned by white minority. So they are second-class citizens in their own country. The blacks are not second-class citizens in South Africa. Up to date, the racism in Johannesburg is on another level. At least we blacks in Ghana has managed to build something like this. South Africans have never built something like this. All the tall buildings, everything you see in South Africa is built by the Europeans. That's the fact. They keep saying that we envy them. What exactly do we envy? This?
Nobody envies poverty, god damn it.
You guys are a bunch of funny people.
Nobody.
They claim that we first got our independence, but we are not developed. Let me tell you, looking at where we are coming from and where we've gotten to, we have achieved far better than black South Africans. You still live at the mercy of white Europeans, right? So you guys, this time around, some of us have time for you. You guys talk a lot of shit about other African countries, and we are going to respond equally. Because some one or two countries in Africa here are not developed, doesn't mean that all African countries are poor. Look, this is a continent, very big continent, the second biggest continent on earth. There is no way that other countries can be rich. Even in America, we have poor countries in America. Even in Europe, we have poor countries in Europe. We have poor countries in Asia. So that is normal. So dear South African friends and brothers, I want you to know that not every African country is poor. This time around, it's an eye for eye. If you talk any shit about us, we are going to respond.
Period.
We are not going to open our borders. They want to come to our country. Blah, 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 blah. What exactly do you even have in your country?
Nothing.
What? No, what?
White people.
South Africa has never done anything for an African country. South Africa rather owe the rest of us in Africa. We help them. South Africa has never helped even a single country in Africa here. So I don't know why some of them think that South Africa is very, very important. Back in the 50s and 60s, when we were fighting for African independence, where was South Africa? No. Where was South Africa? The rest of us in Africa here supported you. Even back in the 70s and 80s, a lot of blacks in South Africa were not educated, right? When a lot of us in Africa or other African countries,
they're still not educated.
South Africa academically, financially, militarily. So what exactly does South Africa, think they are? They think they are very important. They think their country is super important when it comes to Africa.
My brother, don't even get mad. They shouldn't even bother your chest. They have nothing. Okay? Only white people to brag about. That is what I tell a South African right now in the face, and it's supposed to piss them off because it's the truth. You're bragging literally because you have a white man. It's the white man privilege, literally. That is all you have, I live with a white man. A white man is my neighbor. Our country is full of white people. It's not a flex,
That's what you showed.
It's not.
That's true, Joby. That's what you showed. That's true, Joby. That's true.
You should pity yourself for even actually having those white people, because what he just said, I've not been there, but I'd really love to be there to see what type of racism people really get. Myself.
You're gonna be there, Joby. You're gonna be there. I'm sending you to South Africa. I'm sending you
I'm
there.
gonna end up in the cell for knocking a cracker out. So I'm gonna watch how South Africans are.
Joby, don't knock nobody out. Just talk. Don't knock nobody. Don't touch nobody, Joby. Just talk.
I said, don't touch me. I'm okay.
All
right. I'm okay. Don't touch me. I'm fine. But yeah, it is crazy, man, and it is sad again. And African people, you need to understand the problems that African people have been facing globally. It is
colonizer of the mind, Joby. It's the colonizer of the mind. The mind.
The only people on top right here are the politicians and who are puppets. Those are only people on top here. The rest of you are literally living on a hand-to-mouth situation. You're surviving. You may not be living literally on a hand-to-mouth situation, like literally, but you are struggling to literally make ends meet as an African person where you are. So don't feel privileged at all. Do not. Okay? Unless you're sitting somewhere, in your own kingdom, you already have your own empire, which was what HR was saying yesterday. Until we literally resources are distributed equally, Africans, we still ain't got it. We're still struggling with generational wealth. Exactly. I was reading something yesterday, a certain quote which was saying how most people, especially in Africa or the Africa generations, like we have majority, like biggest percentages, there's literally no generational wealth passed to the next generation. Literally.
No, because everything's owned by them. Everything's owned by them. How you gonna pass generational wealth and everything's owned by the white people who stole it? They got the generational wealth. That's why they stayed rich, because they stole everything. They the ones stole everything.
It's crazy and so sad. I always see people right here flexing on each other. I got the best money. Some influencers right here on Instagram doing silly competition of cars that are literally do not even. It's crazy. We flex on shit that is so backward. That is even the saddest part. You can't flex on me with this. We have cars that literally. We were talking about our cars being very pathetic right here. What we have in Africa is second-hand shit, and we think we have it. Unless you have imported from outside, then you got the money too. Shout out to you. But still you're struggling, because you have to pay so much tax for you to get all that right here, for you to flex the way you want. It is pinching your pockets. It is crazy. But shout out to Ansanke who just tuned in. Karibu sana, but again, kwaheri. We are winding up. Today, I've been here for like 2 hours, I think so, but the first episode we were talking about, that was a Uganda, them being loaned their artifacts. That is 39 of them. And like I said, you can't just take artifacts back also for you as a nation and you don't understand what they really meant in the ancient times. You understand literally nothing, no clue about it. And you're willing to take all this back with greediness, because that is what African leaders are all about, greediness. They know most of these artifacts also do contain literally big. It's all about wealth. When you look at Africa, most ancient history, everything we created, everything we were making, it was out of resources. So most of them were made out of gold, silver, wood, not just wood. We're talking about bamboo. We're talking about ancient, amazing trees, because it's crazy when you talk about, again, loading of trees or shedding of trees, deforestation. Africans also do not understand how amazing, or the type of trees, and how amazing it is to learn about them. The classes of trees, I don't even know we were never even taught that in classes of trees. How good they are, what they can do, which is best for furniture, which is good for what. But anyway, shout out to our carpenters for knowing better. Shout out to our carpenters. But much love, family. Have an amazing day. Shout out to Kolo. Thank you so much for tapping the screen. Is it here? Kolo Peter. Thank you. Shout out to John Mosquito. Freedom Media was also been with us right here. And Sankenwan, thank you so much for tuning in. Akan Fire, Rati, I appreciate. And to all the amazing silent listeners. To anyone who shall be watching this on a replay, hope you get to enjoy. Have an amazing day. See you guys later on the Rhythm Scoop Show, and tonight on the Africa Today Show, as we catch up with news all the way from America and other states of Africa as well. Karibuni sana and kwaherini for those who are also here for the first time. Much love.
That's your side. Choose more. That's your side. That's your side.
I don't know if Keith, you had any closing remarks, if you're still there. Shout out to Robert Williams. Nice to see you.